Yeah, now let me carry on with the meat, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprisingly, our meat's contaminated with very high levels of sex hormones, either the natural hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, or their synthetic equivalents. And so based on these concerns, and as the Cancer Prevention Coalition and some other leading national experts, we warned, our meat poses increased risks of hormonal cancers, which have escalated since 1975. Breast cancer has increased by 25%, prostate cancer by 60%, and testis cancer by 60%. I repeat, breast cancer by about 25%, prostate by about 60%, testis cancer by about 60%. Not surprisingly, U.S. meat is banned worldwide, like RBGH milk. So here we are in what I like to consider the leading democracy in the world, in which we sell our staple diet, meat and milk, are banned worldwide because they pose major threats of cancer, as I've just briefly tried to summarize. Now, furthermore, let's get back to the meat.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole series of General Accounting Office investigations and congressional hearings, and in these hearings, the FDA and the USDA had been castigated for failing to take any regulatory action to protect the public from dangers of hormonal meat. In fact, in 1986, there was a report which was entitled something like Human Food Safety and the Regulation of Animal Drugs. And this was unanimously approved by the House Committee of Government Operations, and which they concluded, in 1986, and I'm quoting now, I have a quote directly in front of me, the FDA has consistently disregarded its responsibility, has repeatedly put what it perceives are interests of veterinarians and the livestock industry ahead of its obligation to protect consumers, thereby jeopardizing the health and safety of consumers of meat, milk, and poultry. And nothing has happened. There's been no change in this. The American public are still eating and drinking dangerous, ultra-dangerous products in spite of the overwhelming scientific evidence and in spite of the warnings they have received from the rest of the world. We will not buy your products. Now, just let me go on, finish slightly one further concept. In response to questions on the dangers of hormonal meat, which I raised with the European Commission in 1996, and subsequently was reinforced by the European Commission a couple of months or so later, the USDA responded with claims that less than 0.25% of animals tested annually proved positive for residue violations. In fact, that's a lie. Meat has not been, as still is not monitored for sex hormones by the USDA or the FDA. In other words, in spite of warnings, scientific warnings from people like myself and my colleagues who are familiar with this area, and the European Commission, and FDA, USDA still remain unresponsive. And anyway, together with a group of other leading scientific experts, and in January of this year, we submitted a citizen petition to the FDA on imminent health hazards from hormonal meat. And this was supported by 60 scientific references, and we're still waiting for a response. Not surprising, let me sum up. Not surprisingly, U.S. milk and meat are, to all intents and purposes, banned worldwide. It makes you, it's almost like an Alice in Wonderland situation. Here we are. We like to think we're the greatest democracy in the world, and yet we tolerate white-collar crime, industry white-collar crime, and the white-collar crimes for profit, not only do we tolerate it, we don't raise any questions or objections to it. So there's something the matter with the American public because they still implicitly trust government. And my warning, and my unfortunate and unhappy warning is you cannot trust government. You cannot trust USDA. You cannot trust FDA. And I say this with a sense of overwhelming sadness. But there's an old French expression, say, sauve qui peut. Anyone who is in danger should save himself. So those of you in danger, save yourselves. In other words, buy only organic milk, RBGH-free milk, and genetically free milk is now about 20% of our milk is RBGH-free, and the rate of availability of RBGH milk is steadily increasing. However, I don't see any such increase or recognition when it comes to meat.
So you're saying that 80% of the milk has RBGH in it?
Correct.
I thought it was the converse. I didn't realize it was the vast majority of milk.
Yes, the vast majority contains RBGH.
Wow.
It's RBGH milk.
So the other component here too, in addition to your encouragement to purchase organic milk that's certified, because organic milk.
And meat.
I just want to focus on the milk for a bit, but because organic milk, by the definition, cannot have RBGH in it. But I would take it one step further, and those who listen to the site know that we advocate and recommend raw milk for a variety of reasons. So there are many local producers. There's only 6 states in the country that actually it's legal to sell this commercially. But you can, through a variety of mechanisms, go to rawmilk.com and find a local producer. And most of the farmers who are producing it and consuming it themselves and doing due diligence and raising the cows are not providing RBGH to their cows. So that's something you can certify locally, but that would be sort of my recommendation preference. But the organic meat is another issue that, that would be wise and would essentially allow you to remove yourself from this exposure because, what 80% of the milk has RBGH in it, what percentage of the meat are contaminated with these hormonal products?
Virtually all our meat is contaminated. Virtually all.
So anything that's not organic. Any restaurant.
I mean, there is a very small percentage of organic meat. It's very small. The figures vary. The highest figures I've seen are 5%. I really can't give you a figure on organic meat.
Now, would you happen to know about lambs? Typically, my understanding is that most lambs are grass-fed and they're not given grains, but I don't know about the use of hormonal treatments for lambs.
No, there is no sex hormones are not used in lamb. And so I think your point is well taken. Over and above the few farms which supply with organic meat, I would strongly endorse your implicit recognition of lamb as a safe alternative.
And it's relatively inexpensive. It's actually my meat of choice now, and I have it several times a week. And you can get a nice piece of lamb, non-organic, because it's really not necessary. Most all of it's raised, as you said, hormonal free, and it's raised on grass, so they didn't give them grains. And you can get it for a few dollars. You can get a nice little piece of, a little cut, and feed you and your family pretty well.
Great.